Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, November 19th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap last night's Thursday Night Football, college football, NBA, NHL, college basketball. Look ahead to everything today and the rest of the weekend. News and notes, and then golf and best bet and the Fab Five. We're going to start with Thursday Night Football. We'll quickly recap last night's game, and we will look ahead to the games this weekend. Patriots over the Falcons 25-0. Pats are 7-4. Falcons 4-6. Now this Sunday, we're just gonna try to be very quick here. First up, the Colts and the Bills. My projection is Bills 6, total 47.95, and it is Bills 7, total 50. Podcast play here is going to be the under. Next up is the Ravens and the Bears. My projection is Ravens by 3, total 45.7. Meanwhile, it is Ravens 5.5, total 44.5. I love the Bears getting the points. Next up is the Lions and the Browns. My projection is the Browns by 11, total 46.4. Meanwhile, it is 11.5, total 43.5. The play here is the over. Next up, the Titans and the Texans. My projection is the Titans by 14.5, total 46.95. And that's still accounting for the losses of Julio Jones and Derrick Henry. And the line is Tennessee by 10, total 44.5. Love the Titans. Love it. Next up, the Packers and the Vikings. My projection is the Packers by 3.5, total 43.8. Meanwhile, it's 1.5 and 47. My play here is going to be the under. Next up, the Dolphins and the Jets. My projection is the Dolphins by 1, total 46.85. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 44.5. The play here is going to be, I hate it, but the Jets. Next up, the Saints and the Eagles. My projection is the Eagles by 3, total 46.65. Meanwhile, it is 2 and 43.5. I love the over in this game. Love it. Next up is the football team at the Panthers. My projection is Panthers 8, total 43.85. Meanwhile, it is 3 and 43. I'm laying it with the Panthers. I absolutely love that pick. Cam Newton, first home game since returning to Carolina. And last, the 1 o'clock window, the 49ers and the Jaguars. My projection is the Niners by 1, total 45. Meanwhile, it is Niners 6.5, total 45. I'm taking the Jaguars and the points. 4 o'clock window, the Bengals and the Raiders. My projection is Raiders by 2.5, total 48.85. Meanwhile, the Bengals are 1 point favorite, total is 50.5. I'm taking the Raiders and the 1 and the even money on the money line. Next up, the Cowboys at the Chiefs. My projection is a pick'em in 51.8. Meanwhile, it's 2.5 and 56. Under. Next up, the Cardinals at the Seahawks. My projection is the Cardinals by 2.5, total 44.2. Meanwhile, it is Cardinals 1.5, total 47.5. I really like the under in this game. Sunday Night Football on NBC. Steelers at the Chargers. My projection is the Chargers by 2, total 44.95. Meanwhile, it's 6 and 46.5. I love the Steelers getting all the points. And the dirty little secret of this game is that the whole place is going to be filled with black and yellow and terrible towels. So that's what makes me like the pick of the Steelers a lot more. All right, college football now. We will recap last night's games and we will look ahead to the rest of the weekend. One game last night in Louisville absolutely destroyed Duke, 62-22. Louisville goes to 6-5, Duke to 3-8. And now we look ahead to the weekend. So tonight, 8 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech. My projection is La Tech by 8, total 52-15. Meanwhile, the line is 15.5 and 48.5. I'm going to take Southern Miss and the points. ESPN 2, 9 o'clock, Memphis at number 24, Houston. My projection is Houston by 13, total 61-1. Meanwhile, it is 8.5 and 59.5. I'm going to lay the points with Houston. Next up, 9 o'clock, Pac-12 Network, Arizona and Washington State. My projection is State by 13, total 48-7. Meanwhile, it's 15.5 and 52.5. I'm going to go with the under in this one. Next, Air Force, Nevada, Fox Sports 1. My projection is Nevada by 3, total 52-35. Meanwhile, it's a pick'em in 53.5. I'm going to take Nevada in the pick'em. And the last of the Friday games, 11:30 on CBS Sports Network. Number 19, San Diego State against the UNLV. I project San Diego State by 14.5, total 46-85. Meanwhile, it's 10.5 and 40.5. Love the over and love San Diego State, but the one I'm going to go with is the over rather than laying the points. All right, now we look ahead to Saturday. First up is Charleston Southern at number 1 Georgia at 12 o'clock. My projection is Georgia by 28 3/4, total 49.3. This line is not up yet. Michigan State and Ohio State, a huge game on ABC. I project Ohio State by 3, total 61-85. Meanwhile, it is a whopping 19.5, total 68.5. I'm taking Sparty and all those points and running. ESPN, number 10, Wake Forest at Clemson. My projection is Wake by 2, total 57.05. Meanwhile, Clemson's a 4.5-point favorite, total 57.5. I am taking Wake plus the 4.5 and plus 172 to win on the money line. On Fox, Iowa State at number 13, Oklahoma. My projection is Oklahoma by 10.5, total 59.6. Meanwhile, it is 3.5 and 59.5. I'm laying it with Oklahoma. I rarely ever touch Oklahoma, but I gotta do it here. Prairie View at number 16, Texas A&M. My projection is A&M by 13 3/4, so 48-8. No line up yet for this game. Tennessee State at number 25, Mississippi State. My projection is Mississippi State by 17.5, total 50-25, but not up yet. New Mexico at Kentucky. My projection is Kentucky by 24, total 55-8. Meanwhile, it is 36.5 and 60.5. I'm taking New Mexico State in the points. FAU and Western Kentucky. My projection is Western by 5.5, total 58-95. Meanwhile, this line is 9.5 and 64.5. I'm going to go with the under. ACC Network, Florida State, Boston College. I got to make some injury adjustments on the fly here. I'm going to remove 3.5 points from my projection. And my projection is going to go from 8 to 4.5 because I forgot to factor in the quarterback injury. So projection 4.5 and 52.4. Meanwhile, it is 1.5 and 54.5. I'm going to lay to 1.5 with Boston College. Wofford at number... Oh, no, North Carolina's not ranked. Oops. 25 and 63.05 are the numbers, but it's not out yet. Big Ten Network, Purdue Northwestern. My projection is Purdue 7.5, total 46.7. This game is going to be played at Wrigley Field, which is pretty cool. And it is 11.5 and 48.5. I'm going to take Northwestern and the points. Also on Big Ten Network, Rutgers against Penn State. My projection is Penn State by 5.5, total 43-1. Meanwhile, this line is 17 and 46.5. I am going to take Rutgers and all those points for sure. Next up is on CBS Sports Network, UMass and Army. My projection is Army by 16 and 3/4, so 60.05. Meanwhile, it is 36.5 and 56.5. I'm taking UMass in the points. I feel like I have to take UMass every week by default. ESPN 2, Texas, West Virginia. My projections, West Virginia 3, total 59-15. Meanwhile, it's 2.5 and 56.5. I'm taking the over. South Florida and Tulane. My projection is Tulane by a half, total 60. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 60.5. I'm taking South Florida plus the 5.5. Kent State, Akron. My projection is Kent State 4.5, total 65.25. Meanwhile, this is 13.5 and 73.5. I'm going to take Akron in the points. Next up, 1 o'clock, Texas State, Coastal Carolina. My projection is Coastal 15.5, total of 58.3. Meanwhile, it is 24.5 and 61.5. I'm going to take Texas State in the points. 2 o'clock, Fox Sports 1. Illinois at number 17, Iowa. My projection is Iowa 13, total 39.9. Meanwhile, it's 12.5 and 38.5. Slight over. Arkansas State, Georgia State, 2 o'clock. My projection is Georgia State by 10.5, total 61.55. Meanwhile, it is 16.5 and 65.5. I'm taking Arkansas State in the points. 2:30 NBC, Georgia Tech at number 8, Notre Dame. My projection is Notre Dame by 18, total 55.75. Meanwhile, 16.5 and 57.5. Slight under. And I mean the slightest under. Washington against Colorado on the Pac-12 Network at 3 o'clock. My projection is Colorado by a half, total 46.95. Meanwhile, it's Washington 6.5, total 43.5. Oh my God, I love Colorado plus the 6.5 and plus 240 on the money line. Arkansas, Alabama. 3:30 CBS. 21 Arkansas, number 2 Alabama. My projection is Bama 8, total 58.65. Meanwhile, it is a whopping 21.5, total 58.5. I'm taking Arkansas on the points. On ESPN, Cincinnati, number 5 Cincinnati hosting SMU. My projection is Cincy by 8, total 61.95. Meanwhile, it is 11.5 and 65.5. I'm going to take the under, believe it or not. Number 6, Michigan at Maryland on the Big Ten Network. My projection is Michigan 7, total 54.35. Meanwhile, it is 15.5 and 57.5. I'm taking Maryland. ABC, Nebraska at number 15, Wisconsin. My projection is Wisconsin by 13, total 44.6. Well, it's 8.5 and 43.5. I'm laying the 8.5 of Wisconsin. I actually like that pick a lot. Virginia, number 18, Pitt on ESPN2. My projection is Pitt by 8, total 66-25. Meanwhile, this line is 14.5 and 66.5. I'm taking Virginia in the points. UAB against number 22 UTSA. My projection is UTSA by 10.5, total 54-8. Well, it's 4.5 and 53.5. I'm laying the 4.5 at UTSA. Marshall, Charlotte. My projection is Charlotte by a half, total 55-3. Well, it's Marshall 14.5, total 62.5. I'm taking, again, Charlotte plus the 14.5. And are going to win at some point, plus 440 straight up. Old Dominion, Middle Tennessee. My projection is Middle by 5.5, total 55-8. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 49.5. Over. Minnesota, Indiana, Big Ten Network. My projection is Mini by 7, total 46-55. Meanwhile, it is Mini 7.5, total 43.5. I'm taking the over. Next up is East Carolina Navy on CBS Sports Network. My projection is ECU by 7, total 50-85. Meanwhile, it is 3.5 and 46.5. Ooh. Let's go with the over just to play it safer. Next up is App State Troy. My projection is App State 4.5. Total 52.75. Now I believe we're into that 4 o'clock window. Oh, no, that's the last of the 3:30s. And this line is 9.5 and 51.5. I'm taking Troy in the points. BYU, Georgia Southern. Number 14, BYU, Georgia Southern at 4 o'clock. My projection is BYU by 9.5, total 54-75. Meanwhile, it's 19.5 and 57.5. I'm taking Georgia Southern in the points. Syracuse at number 20, NC State. My projection is State by 8, total 49-15. Meanwhile, it's 11.5 and 50.5. I'm taking Syracuse in the points. SEC Network, Florida, Missouri. My projection is Missouri 3, total 59-65. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 69.5. I'm taking Missouri plus 9.5 and plus 260. Rice, UTEP. My projection is UTEP 10.5, total 48-75. Meanwhile, it is 9.5 and 47.5. I'm taking slight over. UConn, UCF 15.5, total 54-85. Meanwhile, it's 30.5 and 55.5. I'm taking UConn. ESPNU, Louisiana Liberty. My projection is Louisiana by 2, total 52.05. Meanwhile, it's Liberty 4.5, total 53.5. I'm taking Louisiana plus 4.5 and plus 172 straight up. Kansas, TCU. My projection is TCU 8, total 66.5. Meanwhile, it is 21.5 and 64.5. I'm taking Kansas. Temple, Tulsa. And by the way, all these picks against the spread. Tulsa 5.5, total 54.4 is the projection. Meanwhile, it is 22.5 and 50.5. I'm taking Temple in the points. Temple's not that bad. UCLA, USC. My projection is UCLA by 3/4, sold 59.65. Meanwhile, it's 3.5 and 65.5. I'm taking the under. Baylor, Kansas State. My projection is Baylor by 3.5. Total 51.45. Meanwhile, this line is Baylor by where is that line? Kansas State 1.5, total 50.5. I'm taking Baylor plus the 1.5 minus 104 on the money line. Auburn, South Carolina. I project South Carolina by a half, total 50-45. No, 7.5 and 44.5. I'm taking South Carolina. North Texas FIU. My projection is Texas North by 4.5, total 57.95. Meanwhile, it is where is this? North Texas FIU. There it is. 10.5 and 57.5. I'm taking FIU in the points. Cal Stanford, my projection is Stanford by 1 3/4, total 47. Meanwhile, it's Cal 1.5, total 45.5. I'm taking Stanford plus 1.5 and plus 106. Oregon, Utah, my projection is Utah getting 2, total 59. Meanwhile, Utah's giving 3.5, total 59.5. I'm taking Oregon plus 3.5 and plus 134 to win on the money line. Vandy, Ole Miss, my projection is Ole Miss 18, total 57.7. Meanwhile, it is 36.5 and 64.5. I'm taking Vandy. South Alabama and Tennessee, my projection is Tennessee 9, total 58.05. Meanwhile, it's 28.5, total 61.5. I'm taking South Alabama because of the sandwich game. Virginia Tech, Miami, Florida. Miami 7.5, total 56.5 is the actual line, and my line's 54 3/4. Meanwhile, I'm going to take Virginia Tech in the points. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. My projection is OK State by 4.5, total 59.3. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 56.5. I'm taking Texas Tech. Wyoming, Utah State. My projection is Utah State 10.5, total 51.3. Meanwhile, it's 5.5 and 52.5 in Lino with Utah State. Yale Monroe, LSU, my projections, LSU 9, total 58.45. Now it's 29.5 and total 57.5. I'm taking Louisiana Monroe. New Mexico, Boise State, my projection is Boise by 10.5, total 44.95. Meanwhile, it's 27.5, total 48.5. I'm taking New Mexico in the points. Arizona State, Oregon State, my projections, Oregon State by a half, total 57. Meanwhile, it's Arizona State by 3.5, total 59.5. I'm taking Oregon State plus 3.5 and plus 134. And last but not least, Colorado State, Hawaii. I project Hawaii 4.25, total 45 or 49.85. Meanwhile, it's Colorado State 2.5, total 53.5. I'm taking Hawaii plus 2.5 and plus 114 on the money line. All right, now move on to college basketball. We'll recap last night's games and look ahead to tonight and the weekend. I apologize, guys. We have no time to do picks and such. So for the next 3 segments, I'm not going to do betting picks because of the lack of time. So Thursday's results. New Mexico State over Davidson, 76-64. Number 22, St. Bonaventure over Boise State, 67-61. Utah State over Penn, 87-79 in double overtime. UNC Greensboro over Green Bay, 60-58. Clemson over Temple, 75-48. Akron over Willing Jesus, 99-38. Weber State over UMass, 88-73. Number 24, Florida over Milwaukee, 81-45. UNC Asheville over Tennessee Tech, 61-55. NC A&T over Greensboro, 77-69. Xavier over number 19, Ohio State, 71-65. Charlotte over App State, 67-66. Providence over New Hampshire, 69-58. Colgate over Polytechnic University, 97-50. Citadel over Carver College, 102-49. B over Hartford, 75-70. East Tennessee State over SC Upstate, 56-43. Campbell over Marshall, 67-65. Wilmington over Coastal Carolina, 65-53. Penn State over St. Francis, Brooklyn, 74-59. Iowa over Alabama State, 108-82. South Carolina over UAB, 66-63. Cincinnati over Presbyterian, 79-45. Marquette over Ole Miss, 78-72. Oklahoma over East Carolina, 79-74. Western Michigan over Saginaw Valley upset Western Michigan, 80-63. That's my bad. Wow, that's awful for Western Michigan. Northern Kentucky over Eastern Michigan, 74-73. Morehead State over Pennsylvania, 84-59. Number 3, Kansas over Stony Brook, 88-59. Sassy State over St. Andrews, 67-53. North Texas over UT Arlington, 64-36. FIU over Ball State, 73-60. Eastern Illinois over Rockford, 96-64. Northern Arizona over Cal State Bakersfield, 74-64. TCU over Nichols, 63-50. SMU over Southeast Louisiana, 78-61. Oral Roberts over Haskell, 89-46. LSU over McNeese, 85-46. Virginia Tech over St. Francis, PA, 85-55. Missouri over Northern Illinois, 54-37. DePaul over Rutgers, 73-70. Stanford over Oregon State, 78-77. Washington State over Idaho, 109-61. Northwestern over Fairleigh Dickinson, 82-46. South Dakota State over Presentation, 99-62. West Virginia over Elan, 87-68. Indiana State over Old Dominion, 77-36. Seattle over Morgan State, 93-80. Cal over Southern Utah, 75-68 in double overtime. Cal Baptist over San Jose State, 67-66. San Diego State over Arizona State, 65-63. San Francisco over Nevada, 73-70. Wyoming over Washington, 77-72 in overtime. Portland over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 86-74. All right, to the weekend we go. 12 o'clock, ESPNU, Boise State Temple, Charleston Classic. ESPN2, New Mexico State, Utah State, Myrtle Beach Invitational. 1 o'clock, Paradise Jam, Bradley, Colorado State. 2 o'clock, Empire Classic at Northridge, Dixie State, Texas State. 2:30, ESPN2, number 22, St. Bonaventure, Clemson from Charleston. 2:30, ESPNU, Davidson, Penn, Myrtle Beach. 3 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, UMass, UNC Greensboro, Jersey Mike's Classic. Troy, North Dakota from Paradise Classic. 3:15, Brown Creighton, the Paradise Jam. 4 o'clock, Yale, Vermont. 5 o'clock, ESPN2, Oklahoma, Indiana State from Myrtle Beach. American Longwood, Eastern Washington, Cal State, Northridge. And that is the Empire Classic as well. St. Thomas, Youngstown State. ESPNU, Liberty, Iona. 5:30, CBS Sports Network, Weber State, Ball State, Jersey Mike's Classic. Norfolk State, Bowling Green, Northeastern Duquesne, 5:45. 6 o'clock, Tennessee Martin, FAU. Towson, Pitt, Hofstra, number 20, Maryland, 6:30, Fox Sports 1. Fox Sports 2, Siena, Georgetown, 7 o'clock, SEC Network, Ohio, number 13, Kentucky. Auburn, number 21, Auburn, South Florida. Wells College, Cornell. ESPN2, Charleston, Marquette, West Virginia. Lehigh, Merrimack, Radford, Furman, Mount St. Mary's, Robert Morris. Idaho State, Nebraska, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Minnesota, UMass Lowell, George Washington, George Mason, James Madison. Maryland Eastern, Fordham, Maine, Fort Canton, Maine. Coppin State, Virginia. Belmont, Kennesaw State. 7:30, North Alabama, Manhattan. ESPNU, Myrtle Beach, East Carolina, Old Dominion. Hampton, Wofford, Arkansas State, Southeast Missouri State. Western Carolina, UMBC. Middle Tennessee, Stephen F. Austin. 7:45, Niagara, SU, Edwardsville. 8 o'clock, Lafayette, number 7, Duke. Western Kentucky, number 11, Memphis. Oklahoma, number 14, Alabama. Paul Quinn, Tarleton. Southern South Dakota, Green Bay, FIU. Rice, New Orleans. Southern Illinois, Colorado. Stetson, Lamar. 8:30, Louisiana Tech and Northwestern State. 9 o'clock, Bellarmine, number 1, Gonzaga. Cal Poly, Santa Clara. SEC Network, Georgia Tech, Georgia. 9:30, Ole Miss, Elon. 10 o'clock, Cal State, Fullerton, San Diego. UTEP Pacific, ESPNU, Wichita State, Arizona. And at 12:30 a.m. on ESPN2, number 4, Michigan against UNLV. Saturday, 12 o'clock, Fox Sports 2. Binghamton, number 23, UConn. Bethune-Cookman, Bryant. Monmouth, St. Joe's. ESPN News, 1 o'clock, number 5, Villanova, number 17, Tennessee. Stanford, number 9, Baylor. Richmond, Drake. Central Connecticut, Quinnipiac. Heidelberg, Miami of Ohio at 2 o'clock. SIU, Edwardsville, Youngstown State. Howard, High Point, UCF, Evansville, Northern Arizona, Texas, Rio Grande. Mitt, Harvard, Mount St. Vincent, Columbia. Mississippi, Dayton. Detroit, Mercer, Louisville. NCAT, Wake Forest. Weber International, North Florida. Canisius, Cleveland State. Rider, Buffalo. 2:30, Holy Cross Air Force. 3 o'clock, Troy and Tennessee Martin. A TBD and Empire Classic. Bob Jones, Charleston Southern. Paradise Jam, 3:15, TBD. 4 o'clock ESPN News. Number 18, North Carolina. Number 6, Purdue. Mobile, South Alabama. Harvard College, Gardner-Webb. Montana State, New Mexico. UIC, Louisville, Chicago. UNC Wilmington, Delaware State. Chattanooga, VCU. Army, LaSalle. Chicago State, USC, Santa Barbara. 4:15, Oral Roberts, Central Arkansas. 4:45, Niagara, St. Thomas. 5 o'clock, Georgia Southern, Hampton. Navy, Radford. UMBC, Longwood. Georgia State, William and Mary. Mercer, St. Louis. Texas Tech, Incarnate Word. Colgate, Syracuse. Utah State, Boston College. VMI, Marist. Eastern Michigan, Michigan State. 5:45, Paradise Jam. We don't know the matchup yet. Longhorn Network, San Jose State, number 8, Texas at 6 o'clock. Fox Sports 2, Fairleigh Dickinson, St. John's. North Dakota, FAU, Manhattan, Liberty. 7 o'clock, Bethesda, UC Riverside. Bucknell, Illinois State. 7:30, Western Carolina and American. Tulsa, Rhode Island. Albany, Kentucky. NJIT Wagner postponed. Somebody has a COVID issue. It's probably Wagner, I would say. 8 o'clock, NC Central, Alabama State. Western Illinois, DePaul. Fox Sports 2. Winthrop, Vanderbilt. Fairfield, Sacred Heart. Iona, North Alabama. Pepperdine, UC Irvine at 9. Central Methodist, BYU. Omaha, Montana. 10 o'clock, San Diego. Sacramento State. UC San Diego, I should say. UT Arlington, San Diego State. Morgan State, Portland. And at 11 o'clock, Empire Classic. We don't know the matchup yet. And Sunday, it's a lot of TBD. Legends Classic, TBD. 10:30, ESPNU. Charleston Classic, TBD. 12 o'clock, Jersey Mike's Classic, Green Bay, Weber State. Sunshine Slam, TBD. Fox Sports 1, Norfolk State Xavier. Northern Illinois, BC, Jacksonville Classic. 1 o'clock on ABC. It's a TBD in the Cheez-It Hall of Fame tip-off, so it's probably like Purdue, North Carolina winner against that other game winner. Charleston Classic, ESPN 2, 1 o'clock. Myrtle Beach on ESPN 3 at 1 o'clock. SU Edwardsville, St. Thomas, Minnesota. 2 o'clock, Paradise Classic, North Dakota and Tennessee Martin. 2:30, CBS Sports Network, Jersey Mike's Classic, UMass Ball State. Sunshine Slam, 2:30, TBD. Jacksonville Classic, 2:30, Sam Houston, Little Rock. 3 o'clock, ESPN 2, Myrtle Beach Invitational. We don't know the matchup. Tennessee State, South Dakota. Pac-12 Network, Princeton, Oregon State. Navy, Furman. Alabama A&M, UAB. Morehead State, Mississippi State. Lamar South Miss. 3:30, ESPN, Cheez-It Hall of Fame tip-off. We don't know the matchup. 3:45, Niagara, Youngstown State. 4 o'clock, Western Carolina, Longwood. Jackson State, Marshall. Southern Nebraska on ESPNU. A&M, Corpus Christi, UTSA. Merrimack, Virginia Tech. Houston Baptist, Denver. ESPN 2 at 5 o'clock. It's Charleston. We don't know the matchup yet. Sunshine Slam. We don't know the matchup yet. Georgia Southern, Wofford. Greensboro, FAU, Jersey Mike's Classic. 5:30, Jacksonville Classic, Loyola Marymount and Florida State. 5:45, Paradise Jam. We don't know the matchup. 6 o'clock, Eckerd, FGCU. ESPNU, Myrtle Beach Classic. We don't know the matchup is yet. Grambling, Iowa State. Texas Southern, NC State. 7:30, ESPN, Charleston. We don't know the matchup. Southern Slam, or Sunshine Slam. We don't know the matchup. Big Ten Network, Louisiana, Indiana. 8 o'clock, Paradise Jam. Don't know the matchup. CBS Sports Network, SMU, Missouri, Jacksonville Classic. ACC Network, Florida A&M, Miami. ESPN 2, Myrtle Beach. We don't know the matchup yet. 9:30, ESPN, Roman main event. We don't know the matchup yet. 10 o'clock, Northern Colorado and Cal Baptist. And at midnight in the Roman main event, we don't know yet. All right, now we'll move on to the NBA. I'll recap last night's games and look ahead to a busy weekend. Again, I apologize for betting picks because we had to do a lot of college basketball, college football, and I am at a lack of time. Warriors over the Cavs 104-89, Heat over the Wizards 112-97, Grizz over the Clippers 121-08, Timberwolves over the Spurs 115-90. Sixers over the Nuggets, 103-89, and the Jazz over the Raptors, 119-103. Now we look ahead to tonight, 7 o'clock, Pacers, Hornets, Warriors, Pistons, ESPN, Lakers, Celtics. We'll see if LeBron's back tonight or not. Magic, Nets, Thunderbucks at 8. Clippers, Pelicans, 9 o'clock, Bulls, Nuggets, 10 o'clock, ESPN, Mavs, Suns for the second time in 3 days. and the Raptors and the Kings. Saturday, 5 o'clock, Rockets, Knicks. 7 o'clock, Pelicans, Pacers. Heat, Wizards. 7:30, Hornets, Hawks. Thunder, Celtics. 8 o'clock, Magic, Bucks. Grizzlies, Timberwolves. 10 o'clock, Sixers, Trailblazers, and Jazz, Kings. And Sunday, 3:30, Mavs, Clippers. 6 o'clock, Lakers, Pistons. 8 o'clock, Knicks, Bulls. Nuggets, Suns. And 8:30, the Raptors at the Warriors. So a little bit of a finals rematch there, except no Kawhi and no KD. Now we will look ahead to hockey and recap last night's games, and we will look ahead to a busy weekend coming up in the NHL. Flames over to Sabres 5-0. Maple Leafs over to Rangers 2-1. Pens over to Habs 6-0. Panthers over to Devils 4-1. Lightning over to Flyers 4-3 in a shootout. Blues over to Sharks 4-1. Wild over to Stars 7-2. Oilers over to the Jets 2-1 in a shootout. Blue Jackets over to Coyotes 5-4 in a shootout. Golden Knights over to Red Wings 5-2, and the Hurricanes over to Ducks 2-1. Tonight, 2 games, 10 o'clock, Jets, Canucks, and Avs, Kraken. Saturday, Rangers, Senators was supposed to be on at 1. That got postponed. 4 o'clock, NHL Network, Devils, Lightning. Hurricanes, Kings. 6 o'clock, Wild, Panthers. 7 o'clock, NHL Network, Pens, Leafs. Preds, Habs, Flames, Islanders. Bruins, Flyers, Blues, Stars at 8. Red Wings, Coyotes, 10 o'clock, Blackhawks, Oilers, Blue Jackets, Golden Knights, and 10:30 is the Capitals against the Sharks. Sunday, 5 o'clock, Wild, Lightning, 6 o'clock, Sabres, Rangers, 7 o'clock, Flames, Bruins, 7:30, Maple Leafs, Islanders, 8 o'clock, Blackhawks, Canucks, 9 o'clock, Capitals, Kraken, and 10 o'clock, the Coyotes at the Kings. Now we will look at the current leaderboard for the latest golf tournament, which is the RSM Classic. In first place right now, the score of 10 under, Sebastian Munoz. Tied for second with 9 under, Mackenzie Hughes, Scott Stallings, Ches Raviz, Zach Johnson. Tied for 6th with 8 under, Ryan Henley, Jonathan Vegas, Corey Connors, Taylor Gooch. Tied for 10th with 7 under, Chasen Headley, Doc Redmond, Scotty Scheffler, John Huh, Taylor Hogue, Brendan Haas, Cemus Power, Vincent Whaley, Nate Lashley, Lucas Hodges, and Mickey DeMorit. All right, tied for 21st with 6 under, Brandon Hagee, Cam Smith, Jonathan Bird, who else is in that mess of a tie? Patrick Rogers, Troy Merritt, JJ Spawn. We're just going to go through notables now. Tied for 34th with 5 under, Patton Kazir, Adam Hadwin, Michael Giglick, Sam Ryder, Matt Wallace, Joel Dahman, Joakim Herman, Lucas Griffin, Justin Rose, Adam Long. Tied for 55th with 4 under, Doug Gim, Luke List, Keith Hickok, Wyndham Clark, Max Homa, Stuart Stink, Lucas Donald, Charles Howler III, Brendan Todd, Keith Mitchell, Michael Thompson, Brian Harmon, Brendan Steele, Adam Putnam, Dylan McCarthy, Bryce Garnett, Adam Landry, Brent Snecker. Tied for 83rd with 3 under, Sam Piercy, Chris Kirk, Danny Lee, Joaquin Neiman, Adam Scott, Russell Knox, Brock Stewart, Matthew Neesmith, Tyson McCumber, Webb Simpson, Harry English, Roger Sloan, Mito Pereira. Tied for 106 with 2 under, Henrik Norlander, Tyler Duncan, Seb Straka, Kyle Stanley, Camilo Vegas, Emiliano Grillo, Matt Jones, Jason Day. Tied for 123rd with 1 under, Luis Olson, DJ Tran, Richie Wierenski, Lucas Glover, Dylan Fratelli. 136 at even. Nobody of note. JT Watson's in the tie for 142nd with one over. And that's really met among notables. 154th is Kevin Kisner, by the way. All right, now we will go over the latest news and notes for today. So the MVP awards were announced last night in both the American League and the National League. In the American League, it was Shohei Ohtani. In the National League, it was Bryce Harper. So well deserved for both players. You couldn't go wrong. But I personally believe that the AL MVP should have been Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He came very close to a triple crown and nearly led the Blue Jays to the playoffs. And on the flip side, Bryce Harper, team didn't make the playoffs. I would have considered Freddie Freeman in this spot. Juan Soto actually came in second, which is mind-blowing. He's a great player, but he was on a bad team. Rob Manfred talks up the lockout and says that a lockout moves the CBA process forward and could help avoid future labor dispute. The Giants are eyeing Nicholas Castellanos. That's good to know. Shohei Ohtani says that he loves being a part of the Angels for a long time. Bears signed Bruce Irvin with Khalil Mack back a little banged up. Derrick Henry can return in January, so that's good news. We talked about LeBron. OJ Anunoby out a while with a hip pointer. That's a brutal loss for the Raptors. Antonio Brown bought a fake vaccine card as the Bucks wideout. Said that the girlfriend showed him their fake COVID vaccine cards. The WNBA changing playoff format as they approve the postseason restructure next season includes a 3-series using best of 5. So 3-5-5 format, so that's pretty neat. Lane Kiffin eyeing Miami is if that job were to open, Lane Kiffin would lead a Ole Miss for it. Sean Payton says that the Saints were in on Odell Beckham Jr. And the last thing is that outgoing New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio teases possible bid for governor. I'm going to be in public service, he says. All right, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. There was one in college football that I really liked tonight. And there's some of the other sports that I liked as well. But the one that stands out to me the most is I really do like the over 40.5 in San Diego State UNLV. I think that is a potentially really high scoring game, so I'm going to like 2 units on that pick. Fab 5 time. We're going to start in college football actually, because I just gave out best bet with the over in the San Diego State UNLV game. So the Fab 5 picks for the weekend. First up, I'm going to lay points with a team I don't think I've really ever laid points with, and that is Oklahoma, -4.5. Or I'm sorry, minus 3.5. at home against Iowa State. Regardless of who's at quarterback, I think that this will be a fun and entertaining game. So I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Oklahoma. Plus, I have a big edge on them. I'm taking Michigan State getting 19.5. That is way too many points. First Sparty on the road. One loss Sparty. So I love that pick a lot. Another pick that I'm going to roll with is Virginia plus the 14.5 against Pitt. I just think that that's a competitive game, and Virginia is getting some players back, so I think that will be under 2 touchdowns. Next up, you have the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'm going to take South Carolina again. Plus 7.5, minus 115 against Auburn. I just think that South Carolina's in a nice little groove right now and playing their role of an underdog really strong. And then the last of the Fab Five, I'm going to go with the Roadrunners of UTSA minus 4.5 against UAB. UTSA wants to continue to prove people that they could take care of business in conference play. And then the money line pick of the week, I'm going to go with Wake Forest against Clemson for the simple reason of they're better than Clemson this year. So I'm going with Wake Forest. Like Trevor Lawrence ain't walking through that door. And then the NFL Fab Five. First one, I'm going to lay the 3 of Carolina against the football team. This might be the week's sucker bet, but I do think that this will be a good game. And Cam Newton back at home against his former coach, I think he'll have a chip on his shoulder. Over 43.5 in Saints-Eagles. I just think that this is a much higher scoring game than people think. I think that this could be done in the third quarter, honestly, barring weird weather. I'm going to lay the 10 with Tennessee. Tennessee's been my lifeline this year. They've been my baby. I'm going to keep rocking the baby. I'm going to lay the 10 with Tennessee against Houston. And then 2 more. I'm going to take the Steelers plus the 6. I made the case earlier. A ton of Steelers fans invading this building. And I think that will help them immensely. And then the last pick of the Fab Five this week, I'm going to call this a brave pick. And no, they won't win outright. I just think this will be a competitive game. I'm going to take Jacksonville getting the 6.5 at home against San Francisco. I think that is too high for San Fran, especially on the road. I think Jacksonville can potentially hang with them, amazingly, as that sounds. And then the moneyline underdog pick of the week. I'm going against this team for probably the third time in the last 2 months, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm taking the Cowboys as the money dog to win outright, plus 116. And lay a unit on it. So the Dallas Cowboys, plus 116 against the Chiefs. All right, so there you have it for today's show. I'll be back on Monday recapping everything from the weekend and looking ahead to everything going on Monday, including the Dancing with the Stars finale. Hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.